The Supreme Court nominee hearing continues. New CDC guidelines and an Oklahoma university no longer requires college entrance exams. This is OU Nightly.
Hello, thanks for joining us for OU Nightly. I'm Libbey Dean.
And I'm Taylor Todd.
Confirmation hearings continue for Judge Amy Coney Barrett for the third day in a row. Sydney Baulier has that story and the rest of today's headlines from across the nation.
Today marked the third day of hearings by the Senate Judiciary Committee on Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett. Today, each member of the committee had 20 minutes to question the nominee. One topic discussed was implementing cameras in the courtroom, which Barrett commented that she would keep an open mind to. Other questions revolved around Barrett's views regarding the Affordable Care Act and voting rights.
Regardless whether it's easy or hard, I don't do that to try to, whether the question, would be easy or hard. I don't try to do that to signal it, but I do that because it would be inappropriate for me to make a comment, and I don't think I've answered any legal hypotheticals in keeping with the Justice Ginsburg rule.
During tomorrow's hearing, witnesses will testify against or for Barrett. And Virginians will now have until 11:59 on October 15th to register to vote for the November election. The state extends their voter registration deadline to Thursday after a clipped fiber optic cable took the government site down hours before the deadline. Following the site's failure, the New Virginia Majority Education Fund, alongside other groups, filed a lawsuit to the U.S. District Court, arguing that there is usually a spike in registries before the deadline. And the couple that became famous for waving guns at protesters in St. Louis pleaded not guilty to 2 felony charges. Mark and Patricia McCloskey received an indictment from a grand jury last week with formal charges of unlawful use of a weapon and tampering with evidence. The couple's on video waving an AR-15 and a semi-automatic handgun at protesters on June 28th. The indictment also states that Patricia McCloskey altered the handgun before turning it to officials. In Libbey and Taylor, First Lady Melania Trump says 14-year-old son Barron is positive for coronavirus but experiencing no symptoms. The White House says Barron first tested negative after his parents tested positive, but later tests revealed he does indeed have COVID.
Thanks, Sydney. Statewide, the number of COVID cases continues to climb, and more Oklahomans are in the hospital with COVID than ever before. The Oklahoma State Health Department reports just over 1,122 new cases today. That brings the number of active COVID cases in Oklahoma to 102,000. 13 new deaths were reported this morning for a total of 1,132 deaths due to COVID statewide. The city of Norman says there are 45 new COVID cases in the city today for a total of 3,810 active COVID cases in Norman right now. OU reports its COVID numbers differently and a day behind the city and state numbers. The university says there are 316 students and staff in isolation due to COVID. 87 of those people tested positive, and the remainder are in isolation, were either directly exposed to someone with COVID or have COVID symptoms and are awaiting their test results.
And it's been a beautiful and sunny day here in Norman, but I'm ready for those fall temperatures.
Yes, it has been. Reece, are we going to need our jackets this week?
We're not going to need our jackets today, that's for sure. Current temperatures outside, 90s in the Panhandle, upper 80s across most of the rest of the state. And these temperatures are going to pass us pretty quickly as we head on through tonight into tomorrow. And as we get to the weekend, after that comes through, Saturday and Sunday, 74 and 67 with a lot of wind, but a lot of sunshine as well. So the fall temperatures are finally going to come around. We'll talk about the timing of the cold front tonight, how strong the winds are going to get, where will we land with the timing and the temperatures coming up in the full forecast.
Thanks, Reece. And October is Fire Prevention Month, and the Norman Fire Department is sharing their tips on how to prevent fires.
Coming up, we'll tell you the steps you can use for fire safety.
Plus, a second coronavirus lockdown is underway in Israel, but that's not stopping a group from taking the rare opportunity to clean their community. When OU Nightly continues. The COVID-19 pandemic continues to wreak havoc on many industries. However, two of the industries taking the biggest hit are travel and tourism. Madissen Lewis joins us live with information on a large company that is set to lay off thousands of employees.
We're about to be. Okay, well, that's why.
I am currently outside of the OU Student Union where Career Services is located inside. It's typically a busy time of year here due to the limited opportunities with internships and jobs due to the coronavirus pandemic. In fact, Disney, which is one of the world's most biggest and successful companies, recently announced that they will be furloughing over 28,000 employees.
Emotionally draining.
Mackenzie Turner is one of the thousands of Disney employees who is anxiously awaiting to hear whether or not she is part of the permanent layoffs at Walt Disney World.
I'm technically in the clear right now because I haven't been called or notified, but I know for me it's coming.
In September, employees received an email from head of parks Josh DeMauro explaining that the company is now forced to reduce the size of their team across all executive, salaried, and hourly positions. With Orlando being a tourism hotspot, these layoffs are drastically affecting the job market.
It's a lot of people out of work in a very small, condensed area, and also in an area that is heavily reliant on tourism, which is just not something that's going on right now. So it's not only Disney that laid people off, but it's Universal theme parks and SeaWorld and Legoland and all the hotels. So even getting a job at a grocery store is impossible.
Although the future for many Disney employees is uncertain, the memories made working at this magical place will last them a lifetime.
I will always be grateful for what I got and what they gave to me. Maybe one day I will come back, but the very best employees I've ever met were the ones that worked for Disney.
Not only has the pandemic affected jobs at all levels, but also internships within the company. Disney recently announced the Disney College program would remain on hold until further notice. For now, we're live outside the Student Union. Madissen Lewis, OU Nightly.
Thanks, Madissen. With Halloween coming up, it's important to have a plan to celebrate the holiday safely due to COVID. Today, the Oklahoma State Department of Health released new COVID-19 Halloween guidelines. Officials urge people to consider how they celebrate Halloween based on the COVID alert level for their county. One idea is to celebrate the holiday virtually or stick to outside events such as pumpkin carving or a Halloween scavenger hunt. Other ideas include offering goodie bags instead of encouraging trick-or-treaters to reach into the same bowl of candy as others. Oklahomans are being encouraged to celebrate this holiday while continuing to follow the 3 W's. Wear a mask, wash your hands, and watch your distance.
October is Fire Prevention Month, and the Norman Fire Department encourages you to know to stay safe when a fire happens. While the Norman Fire Department focuses on educating youth about fire safety, during this month, COVID-19 has lessened their visits to schools. But it is still important that children and adults are educated about fires. One of the biggest advice is, surprisingly, a clean house.
We have a lot of electrical appliances in houses, and some people have extension cords running everywhere. Electricity is a possible source of fire, and whenever you don't have a clean and orderly house, it just makes it that much more likely that a fire might develop.
Some things you can do to keep your home and family safe is to test fire alarms and change the battery. Make sure there's a smoke alarm and carbon monoxide alarm in every bedroom of your house, and know how to use a fire extinguisher.
Norman Fire Department also encourages everyone to have a plan if a fire were to happen. Locals living near the Jordan River in Israel are finding new and beneficial ways to spend their time during a coronavirus lockdown. Nirali Jayswal has updates.
In the midst of Israel's second lockdown for the coronavirus, one group has found a rare opportunity to clean the pollution from the Israel rivers. Usually there's a continuous amount of trash piling up just beneath the surface of the river from people on the banks having picnics or parties. Due to coronavirus, the parks around the river are closed to tourists. During this rare period, a small group of people who have permission to work on the river are trying to make a difference. In just 30 minutes of cleaning, they filled 2 boats with trash and are close to filling a third.
I would not throw trash in your backyard, and for me, this is my backyard. It's not nice.
To help the river keep flowing, it's not just a cleanup that's needed, it's a complete change in the public's attitude. Australia's Great Barrier Reef has lost 50% of its coral populations in the last 3 decades. According to researchers, climate change is a key component of reef disturbance. Coral reefs are some of the most dynamic marine ecosystems on the planet. About 1/4 and 1/3 of all marine species rely on them at some point in their life cycle. The Great Barrier Reef is the world's largest coral reef. Climate change is slowly ruining our ecosystems, and it is crucial to save the Great Barrier Reef as so many species depend on it. OU's Gallagher Hall has earned its first Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design Gold certification from the U.S. Green Building Council for its environmental design. LEED is a largely used green building rating system in the world and is a recognized symbol worldwide of sustainability achievement. OU Vice President Eric Conrad describes the process as rigorous and challenging. Gallagher Hall is home to OU's engineers and was built over the course of 2 years and has 4 stories. It is expected to yield energy cost savings of 39% when compared to other buildings. Taylor and Libbey, 8 other buildings at OU have also received recognition from LEED for their environmental cautious designs. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Nirali. And some students headed to college in Oklahoma will no longer need a college entrance exam. Find out which university won't require the ACT or SAT next year, coming up.
Plus, it's warm out today, but tomorrow is a different story, right, Reece?
Yeah, beautiful sunny skies today, but a cold front's coming through tonight. We'll talk about how cold we get coming up. Welcome back to OU Nightly. I'm Reece with your weather forecast, and we have beautiful blue skies across the OKC skyline camera. Now, a little bit of haze out to the northwest, and that's going to be pushing its way through the area tonight as the cold front brings with it a little bit of cloud cover. But right now, upper 80s, sunshine, wind south 23 degrees, or 23 miles per hour rather, and the dew points in the mid 50s. And right now, the dew points across the whole state are 50s for the most of us in the east, but really, really low, 28 out in Guyman, 22 in Woodward, and that's as that cold front and the dry line makes its way through the area tonight. And with that, we have the drought monitor to be concerned with. Elk City has some extreme conditions. Panhandle, a couple counties out there have some severe to extreme conditions as well, and we'll have to keep an eye on that with these winds as well as they are southerly right now, but they're going to transition to out of the north as we head through the night tonight. So you can see the upper 80s, and these red is the southerly winds and the blue is the northerly winds. This brown line right here is the dry line, and as we make our way through, that's just going to push its way through right now, and it's going to be mid 60s for most of us, and it's going to be 50s and 40s for the panhandle, and that's going to push its way back through, bringing us Friday morning low 40s for us. It's going to be an aggressive cold front, but it delayed effects from it, and another dry line and cold front will make its way through for the weekend. And the lows tonight, 61 in Norman, 40s out near the panhandle, again a lot colder and about average for this time of year. And the wind speeds as we make our way through tonight, 6 p.m. tonight, we're going to have 31. The winds are going to transition from out of the south to out of the north at midnight, and that's why we're going to have 0 gusts, and then it's going to push all the way back up to 40 by tomorrow morning, and then they're going to start to dwindle down and hit 32 by about noon tomorrow. And those highs across the state, 69 in Norman, lower 60s out in the panhandle as they feel bigger effects from that cold front. And again, the 2-day forecast, 69 on Thursday, 67 on Friday. Saturday and Sunday going to be a beautiful weekend full of sunshine, a little breezy though, and as we make our way through the next part of the work week, a slight chance of rain on Tuesday, but overall a beautiful day ahead. Ladies, back to you.
Thanks, Reece. The University of Central Oklahoma is not requiring applicants to submit an SAT or ACT score this year. UCO said it's waiving the requirements after a lack of testing opportunities due to COVID-19. Students who apply must indicate on their application that they were unable to take the ACT or SAT due to COVID-19. Applicants are required to have a high school transcript and an unweighted 2.7 high school GPA.
And it was a nail-biter this weekend in Dallas, but after 4 grueling overtimes, the Sooners were victorious.
But the Red River rivalry is far from over. John Barry has more.
That's right, ladies. The Sooners got more than just one win after Saturday's game. The recruiting trail is heating up for the Sooners, and I'll tell you about it when we get back. Welcome back to OU Nightly Sports. I'm John Barry. Most of you know this newscast is presented by us, the students at the University of Oklahoma. And this week, the kids in Norman are still celebrating the big win over Texas. Audrey Goodson takes us back to last Saturday one more time.
The dust is finally settled after the spine-tingling Red River Showdown on Saturday. For most Sooner fans, it was the most exciting, if not the best game in the history of the rivalry. It featured the smallest crowd at 24,000, but it was also the longest game at 4 hours and 43 minutes. It also was the highest scoring, with both teams combining for 98 points. So for the fans, it was exhausting. But what do the players and coaches have to take away?
Yeah, what an unbelievable college football game that was. I told the team in there, this game, the history of this game is as good as any in college football. The teams, the players, the epic battles, for so many years, man. It's been some of the greats, and this game will go down as one of the best.
We always talk about straining the ball, give you all. Like, after the game hit 0-0, then we could worry about being tired, but the game wasn't over yet, so we just had to dig deep and get that stop at the end.
I just kept telling myself, there's a play that needed to be made, and I wanted to be the one to do it if nobody else was going to do it before me. And, this was my last one. So, that's what kept going through my head. I was like, I got to make this play.
Now the Sooners get a well-deserved bye week before traveling to Fort Worth to take on TCU on October 24th. The Sooners are 3-2 coming off of bye weeks in the Lincoln Riley era. Audrey Goodson, OU Nightly Sports.
The Sooners won not only the Red River rivalry Saturday, but the recruiting battle as well. 4-star athlete Billy Bowman out of Denton, Texas, decommitted from the Longhorns days prior to the game. Bowman's final top 3 schools are now LSU, Georgia, and, you guessed it, Oklahoma. While the Sooners' COVID case numbers are down to almost 0 across all athletics, the same cannot be said for Dan Mullen and the Florida Gators football team. This week's game against LSU has now been postponed due to 19 current active COVID cases on the Gator squad. Now on to Oklahoma basketball. Yesterday, the Sooners men's basketball team held their annual preseason press conference, and Brady Manick spoke about going into his senior year while rocking the Larry Bird do. Brady Bird is back and here with more.
Now I'm one of the oldest ones on the team. It's just a quick change of events. It just feels like yesterday I was moving into Headington. Just a really fast career, but you look back on it, we've done a lot of things here at OU the last 3 years, and I'm just ready for this season to play out and see how it ends up.
We have breaking news as well that Nick Saban has tested positive for coronavirus. Lord knows what this will mean for the Alabama football team. But now it's on for Wine Wednesday, and it's time for our Whiner of the Week. This week's winning whiner was easy. Trey Brown picked off Sam Elligern's desperation pass to seal OU's win over Texas. And as the Sooner fans celebrated, this classy Longhorns fan showed us why she roots for UT and not OU. And they wonder why kids from Norman holler horns down all the time. Maybe this fine bottle of Merlot is just what she needs. Back to you, Taylor and Libbey.
Thanks, John. And coming up, the creative way a Texas voters celebrated casting their vote.
That eye-catching arrival at the polls when we return.
I'm Deyton Deller at the OU Nightly Update Desk. The Oklahoma State Board of Education voted Monday that Epic charter schools must repay $11.2 million to the state within the next 60 days. This is after Epic falsely reported millions of dollars in financial reports. Epic is one of Oklahoma's largest school districts, and now their contract could potentially be terminated. Epic denies any wrongdoing and plans to debunk the report by reviewing calculations.
And early voting is underway in Texas, and one voter had a unique way of sharing their excitement.
A Houston woman painted her SUV with stars and stripes to look like the American flag.
The vehicle also includes memorable political figures like the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg and portraits of everyday Americans. The voters said while the current political climate makes her want to scream, she decided to paint her car instead.
And Reece has one last look at our forecast and what we can expect after the cold front. Reece.
Yeah, the cold front's coming through tonight. We're going to get all the way down to 40 Thursday night into Friday morning, but after that, it's going to stabilize. We're going to have temps about 5 degrees below average for this time of year. Ladies, back to you at the desk.
Edition of OU Nightly brought to you by the Gaylord College of Journalism and Mass Communication.
Good night.